The Egyptian civilization has officially been announced for Rise of Kingdoms, and we're getting 2 new commanders that are going to come with this civilization, including Imhotep and also Thutmose III. Stick around in this video for everything I figured out so far about which one is epic, which one is legendary, what their talents almost certainly are going to be, and more. Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and I was so hyped to see this morning that the Egyptian civilization was officially announced along with the 2 commanders that are coming with it. Now, conventionally, when a new civilization is released, we get 1 epic and 1 legendary commander. I'm going to make the argument here that Imhotep is the epic commander, although this dude is straight up legendary IRL. He was considered to be a genius, made one of the first pyramids, and was an architect, a physician. He made one of the first calendars, and he was later deified. Yes, he was that badass. I believe it was the god of medicine. Imhotep is probably the epic commander, but I say that only because the other commander that I'm going to talk about here is also just straight insane, and I can't believe it's taken this long to get commanders this badass into the game. Like, they are amazing historical figures. So Imhotep, really likely to be the epic commander. I think, well, I'll tell you what their talents are going to be in just a minute. I have some thoughts here. But Thutmose III also has a really crazy story. He would have become the pharaoh at the age of 2, but instead his stepmother took over because he was 2. He was, like, obviously too young. And instead he trained with the military and became an incredible conqueror and general. And unlike Napoleon, who ultimately lost some battles and lost some land, he took a bunch of stuff and never lost anything he took. Like, he was an insane military genius. Thutmose III is absolutely got to be the legendary commander because he is an incredible conqueror, which is perhaps a little bit of a tip-off for what I think his talent trees are going to be. Let me jump in game because, I mean, dude, these 2 commanders, I'm actually, based on their history, kind of hyped that they're on their way in the game. Oh, and P.S., one other thing, if we could just appreciate for a moment, little subtle changes that they did to the logo over here. You like the eye and Rise of Kingdom? Very, very punny. Yes, if you're enjoying the video so far, do me a huge favor and throw a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. It supports the channel so much, and it means a lot to me. Thank you for your support. So the Egyptian civilization, what are the bonuses going to be? Unfortunately, that's actually something I can't talk about yet, nor can I talk about what the special unit is going to be. I can tell you what I think the commander's talent trees are going to be. And I think the tip-off here actually comes from the Ottoman Empire, because there is a precedent for getting 2 leadership commanders, and I think that these commanders, based on their history, are so obviously leadership material. 100%, no questions asked. I mean, you could make an argument that Imhotep maybe doesn't deserve, or doesn't necessarily have the leadership tree, because, like, he wasn't exactly a leader in the same way that, like, he wasn't, like, leading an army into battle, but it's a different form of leadership. Leadership comes in many forms, right? So the other reason that we know, I think, that we're looking at leadership for the epic and legendary commander is that when we look at the legendary commanders we've gotten so far when new civilizations are released, we can get a look. I mean, heck, I'll just filter by legendary leadership here, which I love. I actually kind of like that new filter. When we had Ottoman come into the game, Mehmed, leadership commander, leadership conquering skill, in this instance. And when we had Vikings come into the game, we got yet another leadership commander, that is Ragnar Lothbrok, which, I mean, he's got an amazing history as well. Leadership, conquering, and attack, it makes a ton of sense. These are commanders that you should be able to get from the start of the game. They will be in gold keys, almost certainly. Without a doubt, gold keys is where they go. And because they're going to be there at the start of the game, I think that also means they will get a museum buff right away to enhance how they perform. Those museum buffs, for those of you that are newer to the game, this is a building when you get only in KVK Season 4 and beyond, and we can see that Ragnar is in here, And also, I mean, obviously Mehmet is in here. I've got his relic unlocked. Now, with regard to Imhotep, who I think is going to be the epic commander, if we just get a look at what we already have, right? We know the developers like to restore the sort of balance in the force, an equal amount of each type of commander. And if we get a look, there are 3 epic infantry, and they released Bjorn Ironside to balance things out. If we look at archers, we remove infantry filter, go to archer filter, there's 3 archers. We remove that filter, go cavalry, there's 3 cavalry. If we go integration, well, there's just a bunch of integration, because I don't know why they really like that. And then leadership, there's 2. I feel like it's really obvious, like, one of these things is not like the others. It's, you know, like, they're gonna put a leadership commander in here, right? And then we'll have 3 leadership epics. Now, I generally don't love leadership because, I mean, okay, well, what do I mean by that? The problem is that you could do 3 different troop types, which means for a leadership commander, you need 3 different sets of gear, infantry, archer, and cavalry. I don't know, it just gets really weird with what gear you ultimately choose, depending on who you're going to pair with them as a secondary commander. But setting aside the leadership drama, I think that is where Imhotep is going to be. And then the question becomes, well, what other trees is he going to have? And that is where I genuinely don't know. I think leadership is an obvious choice, but is he attacking? No, probably not that. Is he defense? Not really. Like, skill is a very loose translation for, like, I mean, he was very skilled. Is not mobility. So maybe skill, maybe support. Support, actually, maybe that's the better play here. Leadership, support, and then what does the... Oh, God, he's probably a peacekeeper. And you know why I think that he's a peacekeeper? I mean, this is a very literal interpretation, but if we hit the old Wikipedia over here, Imhotep, his name means the one who comes in peace. So, I mean, peacekeeping... support, leadership. I think we freaking nailed it. Actually, straight nailed it. I think that's it. Okay, so now we got to go look at the other commander. Thutmose III, this is actually really easy to do as well. He's going to be leadership. I really think it's so unlikely they would do anything else, because not only have they historically done leadership commanders when they release a new civilization and they're legendary, but he is such an obvious choice for leadership. But beyond that, I think that he is going to be attack, because he attacked a bunch of stuff very, very successfully and conquering. Like, if we just very literally look at what he did, I mean, he attacked a bunch of territories, he conquered them, and even when they rebelled, he went in there and he friggin' set things straight. Like, the dude was actually just an insane conqueror. Leadership, attack, conquering. They could put skill, but again, I'm just interpreting the names of these trees very literally. But I feel like attack is just such a clear match for what he did. From a very young age, he trained with the military to become the leader of the military and a pharaoh, and, like, he has been conquering ever since. If we just get a quick look at the other leadership legendaries that are in game, we actually have a ton of these. A shocking amount of these. So, and the crazy part is, if we look at the number of these leadership commanders that are actually endgame viable, that number is very, very low. Technically Ethel, technically YSS and Theo, but they're not field commanders. I mean, like, the big viable open field commander here is obviously Honda, and then also Trajan. Maybe early game you'd use Caesar or Freddy. Mehmed you can use late game. He's viable. Ragnar is not. Charlemagne is not. Solomon is not. Moctezuma, Wu, and Lubu, they're all a no-go. So, I don't know, man. We're like 50-50 on whether or not they're going to be viable. So what would this legendary commander need? And what skills is he probably going to have based off the fact that he is a leadership commander? I think it is all but guaranteed he's going to have a skill like this that is going to make it so that you have 15% increased troop capacity. Maybe it will be like Mehmed and be more like this. I think this is, in some ways, a more interesting split, but probably we're looking more like, for open field, it actually would just be better to have the additional capacity and not get the rally boost. Considering the lore of Thutmose, I honestly think that having 10% damage to cities is extremely likely. I mean, the dude took, I think, something like 350 cities and held them, like didn't lose them. So city attack just seems like a very, very, very likely skill, some form of it. If it's not damage, then sure, it could be like, you know, instant proc. That would also make just a ton of sense. And maybe even like Mehmed, more of his kit is oriented toward doing extra damage to cities because the dude conquered just a ton of territory. And that also might be kind of interesting if some of what he does is based off of whether or not you're on territory. Will he have area of effect damage? I hope so. If he doesn't, then, I mean, I really hope his single target damage is really significant. Maybe he'd be the kind of commander that has a debuff, but I from my impression of his history, think raw damage, something with territory, hitting cities for sure, extra troop capacity, leadership, attack, conquering, slam dunk. As far as the skills on Imhotep, there I'm a little less clear as to what that's going to be. If it's a leadership commander, and presumably we have peacekeeping. I mean, there aren't any leadership peacekeepers, and he wasn't really about fighting. I don't know, like, does beating barbarians really make sense? But then what's he going to be? What, versatility? Leadership versatility? Oh, God. Maybe he is quite literally, if we go with literally, he was very versatile. Like, he did many different things. I don't know. I mean, you can see how interpretation of his name would lead you to peacekeeping. What was it? The one who brings peace. And then versatility, because he did so much different stuff. But we don't have a leadership versatility commander or a leadership peacekeeper. So there's no precedent for that, but also maybe they're going to restore balance in the force here and actually put one of those in the game. Man, I don't know. But I will say that I am hyped for these commanders, and I want to see your thoughts down below in the comments. Did I nail it for what their talent trees are going to be and what they will do? I think that big picture, their role is, I mean, probably going to be small for the late game, depending on the quality of the legendary and the quality of his relic, right, in the museum. Then and only then do I think that he could be really end game viable, and he could be early game viable. It's possible. Until next time, you have fun smashing the kingdom, and where can I get myself one of these headdresses, man? That's pretty cool looking, right? I look pretty good in one of those.